This is The Way I See It with Steve Reitmeister.
Normally I'm getting at long-term investing has greatly changed. Well, I should. I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Each week, Steve shares his unique perspective with us on a wide variety of investment and financial topics in order to help you, the investor, chart the best course toward profits for yourself. Now, when last we met with Steve, he gave us the overview version of the 4 factors behind the Zacks rank. And so now, for the next few subsequent episodes, he's going to go in depth into each of those 4 factors in order to help you improve your understanding and hopefully your application of the Zacks rank stock picking system. So without further ado, as they say, we go to Zacks rank factor number 1, being agreement.
Agreement, as we covered last week, and just got to knock out the definition real quick, is the extent to which all brokerage analysts are revising their earnings per share estimates in the same direction. The more analysts are revising estimates upward, the higher the Zacks rank. And for a lot of people, that's all they really need to know about the Zacks rank, because they're under the mindset, you know what, the Zacks rank has worked for me. When it says buy, I buy. When it says sell, I sell, and that's good enough for some people.
Right.
I kind of liken this to some folks the way they react to cars. Some people just want to get in their car and drive from point A to point B and be done with it.
I'd be one of those.
Yeah, and some folks, they need to get underneath the hood. They want to understand how that car works. They work on their cars, on the weekend. It's a hobby of theirs, and they really have to understand the ins and outs of the way it works. Mm-hmm. And so for the guy who needs to get underneath the hood, that's what this today's commentary is about, and the future weeks when we go in depth on the factors behind the Zacks rank. If you just want to drive your car, if you just want to take the Zacks rank signals and be done with it, then stop viewing right now. we can save you the time. But for that guy who needs to know, that's what these sessions are all about.
Okay. So the key word here then being direction of estimates?
Yeah, the direction of estimates is what the key is. And so we're going to kind of show some examples of positive agreement and negative agreement. And in that, it will be very clear what the direction of analyst opinion is. So let's just hop in here. Now, in order to find the agreement section and the upgrades and downgrades of analysts, you first need to go to the estimates page on Zacks.com. Hopefully most of you have already been there. If not, I'm going to give a quick lesson on how to get there.
Okay.
So here I am on a quote page. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll see there's a drop-down box that once you open it up, we've got a lot of different options of research reports you can get to. Now, this might be intimidating to some, but here again, we are Zacks Investment Research, and the operative word being research, and we have a lot of information to share with folks on stocks, and you can use as little of it or as much of it as you want. So getting down to about the middle of the column here, we see that we have a company report called Estimates. That's where we need to go. That's the one highlighted in blue. Click on that, and it will take you to the Estimates page for any stock you like. So the first example I'm going to give here is for First Solar. It is a Zacks rank number 1. If we take a look at the agreement section, I've kind of highlighted here. We're going to concentrate on the current year and next fiscal year columns. 17 analysts have upgraded their estimates for First Solar in the current year, and 14 have upgraded for next year. That is about as good as it gets in terms of agreement, because as you see here, there's no dissension on the current and next year. No one is saying that it's down. So every analyst that is revising upwards is saying, indeed, there is revising upwards. That is the strongest form of agreement. Okay, so now let's go to the other one, and here again, as you said, it's a matter of direction,
right,
which is what's important here. So here again, concentrating on the current year and next year columns. This is for Starwood Hotels. And unfortunately, they're not quite getting the same love from the analysts that First Solar is. So here we see in the last 30 days that 14 analysts have lowered their earnings estimates for Starwood for the current year, and 14 have lowered it for next year. And yes, this is a Zacks rank of 5. This is about as bad as it gets, because obviously the outlook for the company has diminished. So that's kind of the 2 ends of the spectrum in terms of the earnings.
All right, again, for the benefit of you folks who want to get under the hood, as Ross Perot used to say. So you showed us the worst form of agreement is when most of the analysts have revised their estimates lower. However, at least the way my mind works, it would still seem to be agreement in some form. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, wouldn't it be worse if half the analysts revised estimates higher, half lower? That would be like a lack of agreement?
Right. You know, if you go into the Webster's Dictionary definition of agreement, that would agree with what you were saying there. But in terms of this Zacks rank, I said it is about direction. So I try to give the two ends of the spectrum. Okay, so the best is everyone agreeing that estimates are going higher, and the worst is everyone saying it's lower. So let's just say you have half the analysts saying it's higher, half the analysts are saying it's lower. Most likely the two are going to balance each other out. The consensus estimate for the firm will be relatively unchanged. Most likely that stock will end up with a Zacks rank of 3, meaning hold, or that will perform in line with the stock market. So agreement is about, here again, the direction that the analysts are saying, not about whether they agree or disagree.
Okay. It's my understanding also that the Zacks rank uses a 60-day time window in which to review estimate revisions. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true, and you know, it does have a great effect on the Zacks rank, because a lot of times people will see their Zacks #1 ranked stocks drop to a 3 all of a sudden, and they're looking at it like, hey, what just happened here? There's no change in estimates. There's no downgrades here. What just happened? Mm-hmm. And it's because this 60-day window. And so first, why is a 60-day window in the calculation of you know, the earnings estimates for the Zacks rank? Why is that even important? We keep kind of whipping the horse, as it were, right? We keep on going.
You might be. I don't know.
Yeah, we keep on talking about how, you know, it's the big money that moves the market, and the big money uses valuation models, and the valuation models focus on earnings estimates, and so the big money uses the earnings estimates to create fair value to chase stocks, mm-hmm. and it takes them 4 to 8 weeks in which to make their moves, because they're so molasses slow in their decision-making process and their ability to buy up the stocks. So here again, 4 to 8 weeks, 8 weeks, 60 days. So when the information comes out, it's fresh, and we have approximately 60 days in which to gain an advantage over the market. After the 60-day window is gone, you know, after that news has been digested, there's not much upside that we can gain from that information, and so the Zacks rank clears it off the deck as if it doesn't exist anymore. And I'm going to quickly go through an example here of kind of the chain events of how this seems to happen over and over again. Earnings reports are every 90 days. And most estimate revisions come shortly after the earnings report. So if there's a 90-day gap between earnings reports, then quite often there's going to be a 90-day gap between estimate revisions. So let's just say, for example, you have a company that just reported on July 15th.
Right.
Okay, and it was outstanding numbers. And so within a week, most of the analyst community will have digested that information, done their homework, and come out with a new estimate number. So let's say by July 22nd, now all the estimates are in. If we flash forward 30 days from that, August 22nd, still we're within the 60-day window. That stock will probably still be a Zacks rank of 1 because it's showing strong upgrades or strong agreement and strong magnitude and so on and so forth. Now let's flash forward another 30 days. Now we're at September 22nd. We are at the last day of that 60-day window. The stock is still going to show a great amount of agreement, a great amount of magnitude, and so on, and it will have a Zacks rank of 1. Roll over the clock 1 day, or flip the calendar 1 day, and here we are. The 60-day window is gone. As far as the Zacks rank is concerned, there have been no estimate revisions in the last 60 days, and so therefore there is no upgrades or no downgrades, and it goes to a neutral state of affairs, and probably will drop to a 3. It doesn't mean that the stock is bad. It just means that the investment community has digested the information and that your ability to outperform the market is limited. If you're a short-term trader and you buy ones, yes, you may want to sell on 2, and you probably certainly will sell when the stock gets to a 3. But if you are a long-term investor, falling from a 1 to a 3 is not so bad when it happens in this way, that the 60-day window has expired. And so for the long-term investor, you're just waiting for the next earnings report to come out, and hopefully you get this rinse and repeat mechanism that the company will have another earnings surprise, that it will have more analysts upgrading estimates, and you go on another 60, 90 days of upward movement in estimates and the stock price. And so that's how you read this information.
Okay, I got it, I think. You did mention, though, in the 4 factors overview that agreement is the most important factor. And,
yeah.
And why is that?
Yeah, think about it this way. Here again, that chain reaction I was talking about the about the analysts and how they use earnings estimates in their fair valuation models. The more analysts who upgrade their estimates, okay, the more the consensus estimate will move for the stock, meaning the average estimate, and that's the number that gets used in the model, so it's going to have the greatest effect on that. And simply, the more analysts that are in agreement, the more analysts that are in agreement that things are going well, the more likely it will go well. In other words, that's where the pack is thinking. The pack is probably going to be right in this circumstance. That the company is not going. It rarely is going to come up with a miraculous disappointment at that stage. If every analyst is taking a look at the books and says it looks pretty good, here again we do have our cases where it does blow up on everybody. But in most cases, it increases the likelihood that the earnings will be met, that the earnings growth will continue, that the value for the stock will be supported. And that's the importance of agreement.
You mentioned a couple of stocks in your piece. Do you own either of those?
I do not, and certainly I would never own Starwood because it is a Zacks rank of 5.
Okay. And you can take a look on the agreement on that when you go to our website, Zacks.com. And Steve sees it that way on agreement being the #1 factor that comprises the Zacks rank. Hopefully this has been helpful to you, and hopefully that you'll look in on subsequent pieces to learn more about these factors that comprise the Zacks rank. With Steve, I'm Terry Ruffalo.